has a pop-out cover that can help increase airflow from the back of the case. It even has its own dust filter. Overall, the dimensions can fit pretty much any piece of consumer-grade hardware inside, but it is restricted in terms of height inside the case. There are a ton of features with the case, so it will work from the outside in. On the front panel, it operates as a door to the front fans and the two 5.25-inch drive bays. The door opens by pushing in the corner and pulling open. There is a magnet to hold the door into place. Additionally, the door hinges can be moved over to the other side of the door so it can be opened up from either side, whichever one you really need. The 5.25-inch drive bays have two covers which can be removed by squeezing in the tabs and pulling out. They also have a dust filter built into them. Alternatively, the 5.25-inch drive bay can be removed completely and replaced with a fan rail to mount an additional fan. The additional fan mount is included in the accessories box. Above the 5.25-inch drive bay is a fan slider which controls the included fan hub in the rear of the case. If the slider is moved to the left, the fan hub is regulated by the motherboard PWM fan controller. If it is moved to the right, the PWM signal is ignored from the motherboard and the fan hub regulates the fan speed. The fan hub in the rear is the same one used in the Dark Bay 700. The fan hub is separated on two rails which are individually controlled by either silence or performance mode. Moving back over to the front of the case, the front I/O is everything I can ask for. There's two USB 3.0 ports, a USB 3.1 Type-C Gen 2 port, and a quick charge port for your phone. On the top of the case, there's a wireless charger, which to some may seem completely pointless, but being able to charge your phone without having any additional cables going to your desk is always nice. Unfortunately, I don't have a phone that can take advantage of that, but hopefully soon I can. There's a dust filter that spans the entire length of the case and sits on the bottom and is accessed through the front panel. And there's another dust filter for the front intake fans in the front panel. Tempered glass removal is the same with the 4 thumb screw design that sits on top of the rubber coated pegs. It's okay in my opinion, but Inwin and Cooler Master have developed much simpler and easier solutions. Front panel removal can be tricky as well. It has 4 tabs on each side to be pushed inwards and out in order to remove. You don't have to push all those tabs in simultaneously, but it can take a minute to remove. Also, make sure to remove the bottom dust filter before removing the front panel, otherwise you'll take it with you. Top panel removal is similar with the 8 push-in tabs, but it's nice to have access to the top of the case and also have enough height for a standard AIO radiator. Rear panel removal is removed with 2 thumb screws, which are capped thankfully, but the panel has to slot in and hinge into place in order to install. The interior of this case is very similar to the Dark Bay 700. The PSU shroud is modular with removable covers to increase airflow and additional SSD mounting in the center. There are expansion slots on the right for storage, which gives plenty of options for storage or room for water cooling. The entire motherboard tray is invertible as well and completely removable, so if you decide to turn it into a test bench, you can certainly do so. Now let's talk about that PSU shroud. It's completely removable but not without a fight. First, you need to remove 2 screws from the bottom edge of the case, another screw in the rear that's attached to the frame, and another screw attached to the PSU mounting frame. Make sure not to lose those screws because I sure did. Anyways, you can then remove by lifting up on one side and pulling up the other, but it often gets caught on the frame and moving the shroud out of the case is easier said than done. It's honestly a bit of work and it is not easy to install later on, but you do have full access to the bottom of the case, which is nice. The PSU mount is inside the PSU shroud instead of being attached to the frame. This is mostly due to reduced cable length since it's a larger case. You can move the frame to either the left or right side and can be mounted further towards the back or front of the case. In order to gain access to the frame, you need to unscrew the 2 screws attached to the side of the chassis frame, which can strip pretty easily, and also the screws holding the mounting frame into place on the bottom of the case. Finally, you can screw in the PSU. Alternatively, you can remove the rear metal